There is a first quadrant terminal point on the unit circle where sine t equals 2 cosine t. Identify the false statement. All right, so first let's figure out what sine is going to be. So we're going to use our identity sine squared t plus cosine squared t equals 1. Let's replace sine squared t with 2 cosine t squared. So this is going to be 2 cosine t squared, we're substituting in, plus cosine t squared equals 1. So when we square that, that's 4 cosine squared t plus cosine squared t equals 1. So there's 4 of them here, 1 of them there. That makes 5 cosine squared t's equals 1. Cosine squared t equals 1/5. Cosine t equals 1 over the square root of 5. But we can also rewrite this. We're going to multiply top and bottom by square root of 5. And we get the square root of 5 over 5. Now we're going to plug this in to our original identity. So sine squared t plus cosine squared t equals 1. Let's replace this with square root of 5 over 5 squared. So sine squared t plus the square root of 5 over 5 squared is 5 over 25, which can be simplified to 1/5, equals 1, but I'm going to put 5 over 5. So now we're going to subtract 1/5 from both sides. Sine squared t equals 4 over 5. Therefore, sine t equals the square root of 4, which is 2, over the square root of 5. And then we don't like when we have radicals in the denominator, so we'll multiply top and bottom by the square root of 5, and we get 2 times the square root of 5 over 5, which is right here, so this is true. The cosecant will be the reciprocal of this. So if we take the simple version of our sign that did have a radical on the bottom, 2 over the square root of 5, the reciprocal would be the square root of 5 over 2, which is right here, so this is true. Tangent. So let's take our cosine and our sine, and we'll divide sine by cosine. So sine is 2 over the square root of 5, and we'll divide it by square root of 5 over 5, but we can really just multiply it by the reciprocal, which is 5 over the square root of 5. So that is 10 over 5, simplifies to 2. So this is also true. Sine t is less than cosine t. Well, sine t is 2 times the square root of 5 over 5, and cosine t is the square root of 5 over 5, so this is twice as large. We've taken the cosine value and multiplied it by 2. We're in the first quadrant, which means these are both positive, so this one's going to be larger than cosine. So the answer here is D.